the PA announcers just reminded us, this is Wembley, and for Watford and Bolton it's the end of a journey that began on a bright summer Saturday afternoon back in August. For one of these teams it will end in glory, and there are numerically more from Watford who've taken the 7 stops down the Metropolitan line inside the stadium than there are from Lancashire. And the Football League have nominated the man widely regarded as their best, Terry Heilbronn, as the man in charge of this final, which will need a clear head by the official as well as by the two teams who are both led out by defenders. Mark Fish has the job for Bolton. Robert Page has the job for Watford, just being wished good luck by the man in the pink shirt, Kieran Cosgrave, one of Taylor's backroom staff. And it's almost time. Nice to see the sporting gestures in the tunnel for these two teams to walk out into the cauldron of noise. Seems all quiet now. Captain in relaxed mood, Steve Palmer, one of the few who knows what it's like to play on this particular part of England's green and pleasant land. But any moment, suddenly, the tranquility of the tunnel becomes the cauldron of Wembley Stadium, and there will be fireworks to greet the two teams. Just listen to this noise as Graham Taylor, 15 years after he last did this with Watford, leads Elton John's tailor-made army out for a major fixture. I wonder how many of those have their name and address on and are heading for Hertfordshire. I wonder how many of those put their name and address at 6 years of age and said, one day I'll come and play here. And for many of these supporters, this is the time where for some unknown reason the throat seems very lumpy. So the VIP panel, led by the Chief Executive of the Nationwide League, Richard Scudamore, David Dent, the Secretary and also Managing Director of Nationwide. Now the Bolton players, Ricardo Gardner, all being introduced by Mark Fish. Colin Todd being told to enjoy the game, and somehow doubt he can. A lot of responsibility. trying to take Bolton back where they were 12 months ago. Robert Page leading the Watford line. With the mascot as well. Alec Chamberlain, Darren Baisley, Steve Palmer, Robert Page doing the introductions. Richard Johnson, his father's here from Australia. There is no prouder man inside the stadium. Micah Hyde, Michelle Ngongi, Alan Hazan, Chris Day, reserve goalkeeper Alan Smart, and Graham Taylor. Terry Harbron refereed the Worthington Cup final earlier in the season. And now the expectancy level rises around Wembley. The final words of encouragement are uttered. Now the two managers can only sit and watch. He's been here many times, but I still feel 1984 was what hurt. Colin Todd and his staff also well used to the big occasion. But for many of these players, it is a first. And there's no real surprises in either team's selections for this game. And remember too that Watford have perhaps the psychological edge in that they've played Bolton twice in the league and they've won twice. The second of them just 7 weeks ago when they won by 2-0 at Vicarage Road. And who would have thought then, as Watford recorded their third win in 8 days of that unbelievable run in the final weeks of the season, but these were the two sides who would be squaring up for one of the richest prizes in football, a place amongst the game's elite in the FA Carling Premiership into the millennium. Well, as you look around the stadium, one of the loveliest things to see is that there are supporters old and supporters young. A lot of them have come an awful long way and spent an awful lot of money to support their team. And this is a great day out for both clubs. Although, when the history books are written, probably only one club will want to remember it. Watford's side is exactly as expected. The only decision that Graham Taylor had to make really was whether to make Nigel Gibbs or Paul Robinson his left-sided defender. Robinson available, having missed the second leg against Birmingham for a suspension after his red card in the first game. And the substitutes, Hazan and Smart, alongside reserve keeper Chris Day, much as you would have thought. And although he didn't say as much, I suspect when Graham Taylor looked at the Bolton team sheet, his view, much as expected. Bob Taylor, the man that Bolton will rely on for goals in this final. You just have a funny feeling that one of these marksmen, will it be Taylor, will it be Mooney, or will it be somebody else like Good Johnson or Nick Wright, has the chance this afternoon to write a unique niche for themselves in the history of their football club. So the scene is set. They want to bring Premiership football to the Reebok. The Hornets want to bring it to Vicarage Road. And on the last day of May, the little fairy will fulfil one of those dreams. And it's Watford playing from left to right who start this contest. This is Micah Hyde for Darren Baisley. Ricardo Gardner will operate down the left side for Bolton, but that clearance was by Andy Todd, son of the manager. And there's his defensive partner Mark Fish. This is Baisley for Watford. Gardner tried to close him down. Fish away. Johnson. I wonder when he came over from Australia if he could have dreamt of a day like this. Branson. First touch for Robinson. Alec Chamberlain, player of the season last year, of course, and narrowly outvoted for it by Steve Palmer this year. Knows what the top flight is all about. You just talk to him and you'll realise there's a yearning to get back there. That was by Ngongi. Thompson left it. This is Good Johnson now for Jensen. Bob Taylor. Played back for Good Johnson, missed it, and Hyde clears. Important interception by Hyde. Neil Cox for Bolton. This is Branson. Block was by Robinson. And a good run for Johansson. And the first corner is Bolton Wanderers. This is the earlier one. Hyde doing enough. How did arrive? Couldn't reach him. Branson. Good tackle by Hyde again. Nick Wright in pursuit. Johansson against Kennedy. And Bolton could have something on here, but again Robinson doing the necessary. Kennedy. No way for Nick Wright. There's certain to be quite a bit of detective work in these early stages. Probing and prodding. It's a bit like a boxing match. They have a good look at each other before deciding a method of attack. Todd beats a retreat against Ngongi. Maybe trying to get it in. Mark Fish away this time. And Taylor. And Johnson going forward. Palmer was well aware. Got his two youngsters. Alec Chamberlain with his wife Jane in the crowd, and so determined. Just Fish away. Robinson. And Neil Cox doing the clearing. That's the ball. He tried to chase. Micah Hyde just momentum carried him into Mark Fish. Just one of those accidental things that happens. Said it was Hyde's momentum. Fish seems to be okay. Page. Right was the target. This is Ricardo Gardner for Bolton. He's a danger man down that left side. Good Johnson. Nice ball for Franson on the overlap. No clear opportunities in these opening minutes. Paisley. Todd. That's a lovely ball for Taylor. Page across. Good save by Chamberlain. That's the first question asked of either goalkeeper, really. Lovely long ball. Taylor against Page. Chamberlain makes the stop. Ricardo Gardner again. Paisley for Watford. Hyde. Mooney. Kennedy. And the foul was by Johansson. Will be the captain, Robert Page. Targets include Mooney, Kennedy and Ngongi. Palmer has also joined the fray, wearing 5. So, Steve Banks, no problem. Gardner, now. The Johnson through the middle, must be the target. Paisley closed him down. Johnson completed it. Robbie Elliott, Gardner again. And it's the combination of those two down the Bolton left that Colin Todd has great hopes for in this match. Kennedy. And Banks not unduly troubled. Neil Cox. Palmer away. This is Franson. With the key man in the middle of the field to change direction as well. Good Johnson. Block was by Steve Palmer. And Fish, who seems unscathed. Baisley. Hyde. Tackle was by Franson. Gardner. Franson again. Page and Good Johnson. A little bit too Manu. Yes. Self-inflicted. Robinson. This is Peter Kennedy. Cox came across, it didn't find Ngongi the ball in. Gordon Jensen are back helping out. And Palmer for Page. This is Palmer again. Now Baisley. Mooney! He's the man in form and Bolton know it. The whole clan is down from the northeast trying to draw this man on. And Bolton not so far been really tested at the back. Kennedy. This is Robinson, England under-21 international. Mooney again. Kennedy, Northern Ireland international. Robinson joins the attack. Jensen in the end for Johansson. Watford throw. Bolton throw rather. Franson. Cox. And a pattern emerging, neither side wanting to be the one to make the first mistake. And given what's at stake, I suppose that is totally understandable. Johnson. Robinson. Targeting Ngongi. This is Micah Hyde for Watford. Gardner lost out to Darren Baisley. And the block tackle now for Nick Wright. Baisley is outside him. And he's got himself in the end. And Robbie Elliott is the defender on police duty. Former Derby trainee. Fiancé Fiona. And I know a deserted village near Derby, all down to support him. There's several deserted villages around Bolton as well. Robbie Elliott. Look for Good Johnson. And in the end, Page doing enough, and it's over the wide as well, the final effort. But it was Elliott's ball that caused the problem. And it was Robinson and Page between them. See from this angle, and see too the final effort from Michael Johansson. It's the first sight he's had of the white of Alec Chamberlain's eyes. Robinson will take. He was the target. This is Baisley. And Gongi. Ooh, heavyweight challenge between Robinson and Johansson. Referee saw nothing wrong. And Johnson in. It looked 6 of one and half a dozen of the other from up here. It was a good, hard, firm challenge. Both players going for the ball. Gongi. Mooney. Good clearance. Page and Palmer to lead the nuisance charge here. Kennedy. Set pieces have so often been a threat. And Page penalised. Leaving tomorrow to rejoin the Welsh squad for their vital Euro matches against Italy and Denmark. What a month he's had already. Became a father for the first time. Page again. He took the offside decision. Baisley. Right went down under Elliott's challenge, which was illegal, says Mr. Heilbronn. It will be taken again. Yes, left hand down a bit, as they say in navigation. Again, the left foot of Kennedy, and almost by it was Mooney and Ngongi in together, and one of them was the decoy. They both got away. There it is, who got the touch? It was Mooney in the end. Bolton cleared the danger, and now they have a throw. Hugely popular player, Tommy Mooney, amongst the Watford faithful. An infectious smile that, through the years, has lit up many a Vicarage Road evening. is the Bolton captain, Mark Fish, with the free kick. Jensen back in for Gudjonsson. Now for Johansson. With Jensen going outside him if he wants him. This is Franson. And this time the corner is Bolton's. Hide away in the end. Back in by Jensen. Franson. Gudjonsson waits. Himmelin saw it late. Good time to get down to stop it. Almost in slow motion. It came through Darren Baisley so late and took a slight deflection too. Chamberlain equal to it. And once more, Robbie Elliott is penalised. And once more, Page and Palmer go to loiter with intent. The little then, Baisley and Robinson stay back. It's a bit crowded in that Bolton area. And the target was Ngongi, and Fish making sure he didn't connect. In any event, the flag was raised. And it's 0-0. Chances at a premium, much as we thought it might be. Two number 10s, Taylor and Johnson, one by the Watford branch. And the free kick is theirs as well for the challenge by Franson. First Jensen and Franson. Very strong Nordic and Scandinavian influence, of course, in this side. With another two in Bo Hansen and Gudni Bergson on the bench if Colin Todd decides he needs to ring the changes. Hyde. Thompson found Darren Baisley. Hyde. Forced wide. Taylor, though, backwards defending. That's not a bad cross either. And Neil Cox concedes the corner. A very, very good cross from an awkward angle. And Banks going backwards. Well pleased to see the defender take the safety option. Good punch by Banks under pressure. Mooney. Steve Banks doesn't have a good record against Watford. To the point in an interview this week how much he'd like to change that in the one that really matters. And this is Nick Wright for Graham Taylor's men. Ricardo Gardner this time closing him down. Elliott, Baisley, Hyde. Just getting to grips with it in the middle of the field. Johnson. Elliott again for Bolton Wanderers. Taylor's ball blocked by Steve Palmer. Played here, of course, in the varsity match for Cambridge. Andy Todd for Bolton. Given away for Nick Wright. Ngongi, still Ngongi. Had to go wide under pressure from Janssen. Very electrifying burst of pace. He's in his best form of the season, Michel Ngongi. And Klaus Jensen had to concede the corner. Peter Kennedy takes. And away by Cox. It was an important clearance as it came bombing back in. Micah Hyde now into the path of Kennedy. Can he keep it in? Just. Now, what sort of a cross can he unload? Nick Wright was the target. Mooney coming in far side. And finally, it's a corner. Conceded by Robbie Elliott. That was a good spell. Good pressure, good attack. Bolton satisfied with the corner. Page on the goal line, Palmer on the 6-yard line. He was the man that they were after for the near post knock on. This is Kennedy and Ngongi, but the flag is up. Now Ricardo Gardner. That's a lovely ball for Gudjohnsen. It's still Gudjohnsen. He's put it wide. The best chance really of the match so far. A very quick break, a glorious ball from Gardner. The bounce defeated Robinson, the post defeated Gudjohnsen. Robinson's was an air shot. The manager looked the soul of dejection. Robinson, no chances this time, that's for sure. Ryder Gudjohnsen. How important might that miss be? It's the supply line, Ricardo Gardner. Johnson would be the first to acknowledge it was a real quality ball. Johnson, Kennedy, Nick Wright, Michel Ngongi, Hyde, Paisley, past Gardner's challenge. It was a good challenge at the second attempt by Gardner. Robert Page, the Watford captain. Johnson. Ngongi! Smile tells its own story. Just for a moment he saw daylight. Johnson's knocked down. Mark Fish ended up on all fours. But the whistle had gone. Graham Taylor signed him, incidentally, on video evidence, which is something the former England manager has done very often. Robbie Elliott. Franson. Johnson on the charge. Tackle by Johnson. And this time it's the Bolton Heavy Brigade. Johnson's tackle ruled illegal. Who will come forward? Michael Johansson. Testing that Nick Wright isn't 10 yards. Mr. Harbron wants it just to get on with it. There it is. And this time it's a corner. Conceded by Michel Ngongi. Gardner is the man. 6 in the box for Bolton. Paisley away. Jensen for Franson. Gardner. Todd lost out to Nick Wright. Now, he's got Ngongi screaming for it in the middle. This is a real chance for Ngongi. And that's a vital block by Robbie Elliott. Ngongi had time to take aim, but not to pull the trigger. Johansson gone straight from one end to the other. It's turning into a very good game, this. Johansson. Franson. Jensen. Micah Hyde's challenge, assisted by Tommy Mooney, and the assistant wins it. Franson. Robbie Elliott. Fish. Elliott. Page on Taylor. Free kick, says Mr. Harbron. This was first-degree robbery by Nick Wright. But look at the space Ngongi had, and look how vital that Robbie Elliott block was. And Johansson wins the free kick, to Robinson's great disgust. And this could be something that Bolton can make. Watford have 5 in the wall. Chamberlain organising things. Maybe Elliott might be the man to have a bang as well. He's the left-footed expert. Off the wall, good Johnson, great save. That's a very, very good save, because Chamberlain saw it late as it rebounded. Look at this, first time good Johnson, and Chamberlain doing his job. Gardner's corner, good spell from Bolton. Peter Kennedy away. Now can Bolton turn the screw? Franson. Micah Hyde away. Mooney. Here's that save earlier. Look how quickly Chamberlain responded. And it's 0-0. And it's very well balanced. And the closer we get to half-time, the more significant it might be if either side can get the breakthrough before the interval. Good Johnson against Page again. Ricardo Gardner for Bolton. This is Elliott. Taylor and Good Johnson. Page again on Taylor, doing well. And says the referee, no, he's given the free kick in the end. Cox controlled it with his arm. It's keeping this crowd spellbound. Stakes are vast, of course. It's never going to be one of those cavalier afternoons. Gardner. Fish and Wright. And Gardner will leave the throw for Robbie Elliott. Elliott again. Gardner. Still Gardner. Past Baisley. Now, can he deliver quality? Target was Good Johnson, and it was an important interception. And Kennedy just overhits the ball for Nick Wright. It was a good ball. This was Gardner. Lovely one too. Look at the target was Good Johnson. Taylor's frustration. It remains 0-0. The chance is just starting to emerge, really. Robinson was the one much earlier, and this is another one of the earlier efforts. Again, Alec Chamberlain making the save, so Bolton have had the two clearest openings to date in this match. Now by Ngongi. Mark Fish. It's come for Good Johnson, and that's an important block by Palmer. This is Robinson. Andy Todd lost out to Mooney. Nick Wright. There, Franson acting as blockade. Oh, yes, you can see that, can't you? Kennedy, Mooney and Palmer are the forward men here. So too Ngongi. This is Kennedy. Ngongi arriving, and so too Nick Wright. And the corner conceded by Robbie Elliott. Clearance favoured Watford. Kennedy then putting the ball in, and it was a teasing cross. Elliott made sure Nick Wright didn't get. Kennedy's corner then. Away by Gardner. Watford's major threat has come from set pieces in this half so far. And that's a really poor clearance by Neil Cox. Kennedy for Richard Johnson. Got time to consider his options. Ngongi. Gardner. Good Johnson. Johnson. Running back to ensure no damage done. Robinson. Baisley against Gardner. Still Baisley. Still Baisley. And Fish has to concede the corner. For the best run by the Watford right back in the match so far, got through the two challenges. And the Bolton captain taking no chances. Second longest serving pro, Darren Baisley. Vicarage Road, and Kennedy again with the corner. Right. Yes! How about that? From Nick Wright. Well, you practice them till you're blue in the face on the training grounds, and they normally go down the high street. And when it really matters, he's delivered a stunning opening goal. Kennedy's corner cleared away, facing backwards, 1-0 Watford. It was Taylor, and in fact Ngongi got the last touch. He'd got a very small margin to aim at. Ngongi, in fact, was in the net, I think. How about this? Ngongi was in the net, and suddenly he found the ball for company. Celebration time, but there's a long way to go. You'd have to go an awful long way to see a goal of that quality. Now, how will Bolton respond? Ngongi. These final 7 minutes till half-time are going to be fascinating. For the hero of the hour, Nick Wright, Elliott coming in quickly. It's all in the script, Graham. I would imagine will be the reaction afterwards. Ransom for Bolton. Foul by Hyde. He was spoken to severely, but referee sensibly doing nothing more. Good Johnson. Taylor. Palmer is penalised for handball. And Bolton have an almost immediate chance from this free kick. And the whistle says Terry Harbron, Robbie Elliott, Per Franson in the What Shall We Do With It committee. Franson looks the man most likely. Chamberlain makes a superb save, but the referee wants it taken again, I think. I think he was happy with something. Now he blew before being taken, and he's speaking to the Watford wall. Will it be Franson again? Yes, good block this time, and legally by Paul Robinson. Johansson, Bolton corner. And the men from Lancashire will come full throttle up to half-time. That you can be sure of. Good catch, Chamberlain, as Andy Todd looked for the scraps. Fish. Johansson had to come back. Banks away. Page. Peter Kennedy for Richard Johnson. Steve Palmer. Kennedy. This is Johnson. Baisley. Didn't run, just Nick Wright waited. Todd couldn't afford to wait. Gardner. Taylor. Now Gardner once more. With Johnson the target. Released by Page, the captain of Watford. Robinson and Kennedy. Ngongi kept it in. Mooney. Fish. Watford coming into this match, of course, on the back of this astonishing sequence. Perfect record in April. Only blemish from Easter Saturday. A last-minute equaliser conceded at Barnsley. And then this man emerging the hero of a penalty shootout against Birmingham. And that was all in vain, because the referee ordered it to be retaken, that Franson effort. Chamberlain wasn't to know. One of the real good guys of professional football. Ngongi. Took 2 men to block him. Mr. Harbron looks at his watch. Page. White got up. Mooney! Fish upwards. Banks collects. And I guess that Watford will be happy to go in as it stands. They take chances now. And Bolton may yet rue those misses by Johnson. Gardner. And Johnson again, another chance perhaps. If somebody finds a pair of shooting boots on the M6, I think I know who they belong to. Because this is the third one, he hasn't hit the target. And Chamberlain should really have had to get his knees dirty at least. In a private duel, the Watford goalkeeper is well ahead on points. Into stoppage time at the break. Page. Mooney. Branson. Johnson. Hyde. Now Ricardo Gardner again. And Watford immediately have to pull players back. Jensen. Micah Hyde. Elliott. Gardner. Tackled by Wright. Hyde wins for Watford. Now Johnson. There's the two. Held up by Alan Wiley. So it's time for those lines to be rehearsed. Watford ahead, courtesy of that wonder strike from Nick Wright. And once again, Mark Fish is the player who's gone down. Needs some patching up in the dressing room. With the challenge by Ngongi, and it was his head that went down rather than Ngongi's arm that went up. Irresistible force meets immovable objects. It's a picture that tells a story, doesn't it? Lots of smiles and some nail biting as well. The moment to treasure for one Watford player in the first half. Have a look at Terry Harbron's watch. Gardner. With Johnson again. And safety in numbers by Watford as Johnson finds Kennedy. Ngongi let it go. And another look at the watch. Holdsworth in the background, desperately sad to be missing this match on 2 counts, one to play at Wembley and secondly to do so against his former club. And his former club Watford have the lead at half-time by 1-0. So in the next 45 minutes, one of these two clubs could cement their place in what is regarded by many now as the greatest league in the world. Watford lead by Nick Wright's goal. And Graham Taylor smiles but knows it's not all over yet. And Graham knows that it's not all over till the fat lady sings. And there's not even been one in rehearsal yet. So Bolton get us away at the start of the second half. And they know, regardless of what Watford do, they have to score in the next 45 minutes if their promotion dream isn't to die on the battlefield of Wembley. Robinson, that's not one of his better ones. Johansson. Jensen for Johansson again. And Johnson brings him down. First free kick of the half to Bolton Wanderers. Klaus Jensen. Johansson. Robinson keeping him in very close. And the throw is Watford's. Interesting to see whether either manager's opted for a change of tactics. That's the big difference, of course, that they've played each other twice this season already, so there's a fair amount of familiarity about. That's another Bolton free kick. Palmer. And Taylor was trying to stop him. Bolton will want to set the tempo in this second half. Rob Elliott then with the throw. Taylor. And this time it's a goal kick. Jumpers by Ngongi. Still Ngongi. Robinson for Watford. Mooney. Nice layoff for Kennedy. Foul was by Cox. Very hard one's had a good match so far, and there's nothing wrong with that decision. Johnson takes Page, Palmer and Ngongi. Three men in a line. Robinson from Kennedy's throw. He thought Kennedy had stayed forward. Neil Cox then for Bolton Wanderers. And the block by Ngongi, and a good run by Banks. It was important. Ngongi got the deflection, got in behind his defender, Andy Todd. But it was Banks to the rescue. Robinson. The problem is for Steve Banks this time. Harmer. Away by Page. Gardner. Harmer did enough. Elliott. Bolton committing plenty of men forward. Good Johnson. And Taylor was in on Chamberlain, and that's nice to see. Yes, he was late, and he knows it. But his immediate concern for the goalkeeper. And Steve Palmer just saying, calm down, no problems. There may be an awful lot at stake here, but they're acting like professionals, both teams, and that's good to see. Nick Wright, the goal scorer. Gardner lost out. This is Wright. Still Wright. Ngongi was always going to be second to it. Signed from Turkey at the start of the season by Graham Taylor. Congo international. Mooney across to try and rob Banks. This bank had a security system called the touchline. This is Paisley. Ngongi. Right. Blocked by Fish. It's lifted his confidence, hasn't it? Playing for Carlisle last year, and now the scorer of the goal that gives his team the lead in this Wembley playoff final. And Banks makes a good catch, and that's not a bad throw out either. Johansson was the target. Paul Robinson was waiting for him. Wright stayed forward with Mooney. Hyde against Franson, now Johnson. And Neil Cox, no problem, finding his goalkeeper. Gardner. Paisley's had problems with the Gardner all day. Hyde for Watford. Won by Franson for Bolton. Gardner once more. Good firm challenge this time by Paisley. Elliott. We've played almost 10 minutes of this second half, and Chamberlain must have expected the kitchen sink to be flying in his direction, and really hasn't so far, to be honest. Fish jump with Ngongi. Good Johnson. Ooh, that hurt Steve Palmer. Yes. Right foot very high. Palmer wears contact lenses, but I think he is okay. Lastrick just making sure. I think it was his nose that got it, but he is okay. Looks just as good for those supporters as it did at the time, doesn't it? And with every passing minute, it portends potentially a more crucial moment in this nationwide First Division playoff final. And the one thing that is absolutely certain is that these two teams will not be playing each other in the league next season. Hyde. Johansson. Now Gardner. Ball through the middle for that man, Johnson again. Page did the first block, Palmer the second. And all Bolton have is a throw. But again, it was Gardner's ball. Page blocked it. It rebounded off the Icelandic player. Gardner again. Blocked by Baisley. This is Franson. Gardner. Robbie Elliott. Franson. The whistle has gone. And Micah Hyde receives the yellow card for the challenge. He might be seen to be a bit unlucky, but it is, I think, the third time the referee's spoken to him. And Mr. Hardbrough may have decided that he gets a yellow card on the totting up basis. And Bolton have the free kick. It aimed for Johnson again. Todd and also Cox were in the area. Ngongi still going. This is Per Franson for Bolton. And it's becoming a fascinating spectacle. Johansson's trying his luck down the left. Fish is the last man forward. Bolton throw. Janssen. Robbie Elliott. And the referee will finally stop. Maybe this is the tactical change with what 13 minutes gone in the second half. Colin Todd just to pass messages. So one thing about Wembley, the dugouts are an awful long way away from pitch side. And they don't equip the managers with megaphones. Elliott again. Per Franson for Bolton. We'll have a couple of substitutes warming up. And the block was by Peter Kennedy from Michael Johansson. Page. Kennedy. The man that was trying to make life difficult for Page was the fullback Neil Cox, who's been pushed that much further forward in this second half. And this time Watford are onside. And it's Tommy Mooney. Drilled in towards Johnson. And over the top finally by Michel Ngongi. And the quality cross from Mooney caused mayhem in the Bolton defence. Johnson blocked by Elliott. Ngongi as well. Crucial. 2 blocks by the number 3 for Bolton Wanderers. Well, the last corner Watford had in the first half they scored from. This is from the other side, Johnson. Robbie Elliott again. Darren Baisley arriving. Hyde. Now Baisley. No problems for Steve Banks as we reach the hour mark, with Nick Wright's goal still dividing the sides. Taylor for Bolton. Not a bad cross, good clearance by Palmer. Kept his eye on the ball. Cox. And Banks doing enough in behind. Gardner. Baisley had gone forwards, got to come back quick. And Page concedes the corner to deny Bob Taylor. You just get the feeling that both sides are starting to create openings. You'd be surprised if Nick Wright's goal's the only one on the score sheet by full time. Gardner is near post for this. Cox is in the middle along with Andy Todd. And this is Gardner. Johansson against Robinson, and the referee's given the free kick to Bolton. I think he asked what was that for. Well, Johansson started out in a medium-sized shirt. I don't think he particularly wants to finish with an extra large. And away, the header was by Richard Johnson. Fish. And shot over the top from the cross by Neil Cox. Well, the massed Watford fans away from the tunnel end, beginning to get a bit nervous. Their team is in front, and that finishing post very slowly moves closer. But Bolton certainly shown plenty of attacking ideas in this second half. Michael Johansson. And looking down from up here, no one is taking their eyes off this for one moment. Jensen. Good tackle by Ngongi, came back to help out. Once more for Klaus Jensen. This is Johansson. And that's a poor ball which Peter Kennedy can capitalise on. Only waited too long and now has another chance. And Robinson is onside, is he? No, the whistle's gone. But that's the great danger for Bolton. Because they're one down, the longer it goes on, they have to push more men forward. Johansson back down his more favoured right side. Robinson, Hyde, Baisley, Nick Wright outside him in space. This is Wright. Robbie Elliott blocks him. And becomes the second man to receive a yellow card. The 11th footballing commandment, thou shalt not pass. So it's 1-1 in bookings. And Peter Kennedy is the man responsible for this free kick. Kennedy again. As Bolton prepare Scott Sellers for action. Colin Todd has waited long enough, and he needs to find a goal from somewhere, because that's the simple statistic here. But if Bolton do not score between now and the 90th minute, what Watford do is irrelevant. Bolton will be staying in Division 1 next season. And Franson this time leaving his boot high. Battered and bruised Steve Palmer. And it's Michael Johansson who is being replaced by Scott Sellers. Tried his luck down both flanks to no avail. And now Scott Sellers comes on wearing 13. His first switch of this match. Hyde for Watford. Elliott away. This is Gardner. He's really shown a few moments in the half, and that's not a good one. Palmer. Now Nick Wright once more. Still Wright. Got easily past the challenge. Can he deliver quality? He went for Mooney. He was slightly disappointed in Gongi. Didn't make himself available in the channel. But Cox conceded the corner. Now, quality this time for the effort from Mooney. From Micah Hyde's cross is agonisingly close. Hyde to the byline. The Mooney cross. And Wembley would have gone berserk if he'd scored. Really would crown the Watford supporters' day if he could get one. And 5 minutes in his company, you'll understand why. Right! Good save by Banks, but the flag was up. Good Johnson. Those first half misses beginning to look more significant. Cox. And Taylor is robbed by Page. Of Watford and Wales. Elliott for goalkeeper. Banks. Fish. Elliott again. Gardner slipped. Hyde. Chamberlain came storming in to make sure. Elliott. Darren Baisley for Watford. Still, his men lead by 1-0. His goal. From a corner won by his run. Gardner gives them another chance. Behind them, Alex Bono, Tommy Smith. One that proves what a delightful race the French can be, and the other, the youngster for whom they have so many hopes. That's the two Watford substitutes, Alan Hazan and Alan Smart on the left, warming up. Fox's throw for Bolton Wanderers. Gardner, Page, and Bolton are thinking about a second one. Fish for Elliott. Now Gardner. And the fullback and captain has gone on the forward run, the defender. And this is Steve Palmer for Watford. Jump was by Ngongi. Neil Cox. Sellers, the substitute, is alongside him if he wants him. He played for Gardner. Taylor. Sellers. Still won't open up for Bolton Wanderers. Sellers again. And the effort just too high for Johnson. It's the first real chance Sellers had to try and leave his mark and create something. Jensen. Good block by Robinson, but the cross is by Franson. This is Taylor. Closed down by Darren Baisley. Sellers. Robbie Elliott. Still Elliott. There's the cross this time. Scott Sellers, the man. First time the substitute saw anything bordering on an opportunity to create. And look what we're seeing again. Maybe the match director backed him for first goal scorer. And they're being made, those decisions, not up here but down in the vaults of the scanner. Nick Wright. And Gardner is away this time. Taylor's the only man in the middle. Chamberlain does well. Keep your eye on the ball and not on the big tank arriving stage left. Mooney headed it on the ground. I think he was in prayer mode. This is Kennedy. Now, if this goes on to be a goal, what a story that'll be. You need to produce better quality than that. Johnson. Watford still have it. Hyde. Johnson. Wright. Sellers blocked by Nick Wright. Hyde. Gardner against Baisley. Play on, says the referee. This is Gardner again. Good Johnson. Now for Jensen. Good Johnson's gone for the return and gets the return. Taylor. Couldn't find a shooting position. Cox. And it fell invitingly for Taylor, but the Watford defence, to their credit, blocked him very well. It was an important run by Kennedy first of all, then by Robinson. And that meant long range it had to be. And now is the time for the Scotsman, Alan Smart, to come on. Like Nick Wright, signed from Carlisle United. And Michel Ngongi is the man he replaces. He's played his part, the number 7. And now, nice to see Alan Smart and the referee with big smiles. And he's done his best, that Terry Heilbronn, to take the heat off. Today he has shown, I think, why the Football League rate him so highly. Why he's not gone on the Premiership list, I simply do not know. Maybe he doesn't book enough. Prefers the common sense approach, and most people would say amen to that. Mooney, Robinson, back in by Johnson. This is Franson. Now Taylor. Good tackle by Paul Robinson. Hyde. Right. Smart's gone forward. Still right. Nobody square ready for it. Now there might be Mooney! And Wright couldn't get on the end of it. Two inches from hero status. Right the first time. Smart waited. Mooney was onside. But look at that. Look how close he was. Robert Page into the path of Darren Baisley. Foul was on Janssen. Alan Smart. His wife Jeanette's in the crowd today. Gardner. Taylor back to Gardner again. This time Baisley can do nothing. Still Gardner. What an important block by Richard Johnson. Nick Wright is away. Colin Todd's off his feet on the dugout. Kennedy! Was a chance for the Northern Ireland boy. Nick Wright served it on his left foot, and it wasn't far away. But it remains 1-0. Sellers. And these are going to be anxious, nervous final minutes. You can bank on that. And there's still plenty of time for it all to change. Well, he's been involved in most of it, hasn't he? And this again, well struck by Kennedy, but just inches wide. This seemed a long way for Kennedy from 2 years ago when he went home to Northern Ireland to seriously think about giving up the game full time and going back to work in the shipyards and perhaps get a place part-time at one of the top Northern Ireland clubs. Just goes to show what a strange old game this can be. Neil Cox. Sellers, Fish, Elliott, Gardner, Janssen. Once again, shouts Colin Todd. Franson, Sellers. Franson from the deflection. But again, Chamberlain getting his body behind the line, and any young goalkeepers watching this match will be impressed by Chamberlain. Very good role model. And that's a throw. Money Jacket, the Watford number 2. And Todd has returned to his place. Jacket, of course, had a month as manager in Graham Taylor's absence. Key member of the backroom staff. Cox then for Bolton as the minutes tick by. This is Richard Johnson. Nick Wright again, run his heart out down the right side. Gardner's the man that fouls him. Mooney the target. Smart in against Cox. There's the cross from Smart. Aim for Nick Wright. This is Micah Hyde. Smart again. This time the flag was up. The substitution is prepared. Jensen. Sellers. Now Gardner. He's been well marshalled throughout this match. Good Johnson. Franson. And again, the numbers game. Palmer, Robinson and Kennedy involved, ensuring that Franson never got a clear sight of Alec Chamberlain's goal. Andy Todd now for Cox. And as the minutes tick by, Bolton having to commit more and more men forward. Smart fouls Fish. Cox. No problem for Alec Chamberlain. Who has had a very assured game thus far. You can sense if he can keep his nerve. And the underdogs, he could have got long odds against 2 months ago. Remember, this charge to Wembley started on Easter Saturday when they beat Tranmere Rovers with 9 men. And then a week later, they beat today's opponents 2-0 at Vicarage Road. Mooney scored one of the goals that day. He scored in every match the club played in during April. After that victory against Tranmere. Smart. Good Johnson again against Palmer, and Chamberlain's not, but Page has let it go, and he was ready to clear it if he had to. Some days it goes for you, others it doesn't. Good Johnson took advantage. Page was there, assured and prepared if needed. Goal kick. Banks. More and more white shirts going into the Watford half of the field. Palmer away. Smart against Fish. And once more the free kick is given Bolton's way. And a very good match, Steve Palmer. And Robert Page at the back for Watford. Branson, let's fly. Good clean catch once more. It was Good Johnson actually who had the final effort. Robinson, Johnson, Hyde, Johnson, now Kennedy. Plenty of men forward here for Watford. This is Robinson. Mooney is forward, Smart is far post, but he overran it, and away come Bolton again. What final chapter is there to be to this playoff final? Fox over the top. Well, it's Alan Hazan's big chance, and he replaces the goal scorer Nick Wright, who had a bit more steel. But whatever happens, Nick Wright has had an afternoon to tell the grandchildren about. And Alan Hazan has about 5 minutes to make his mark on this final, with his team in front by 1-0. For the other substitute, Alan Smart. And the Israeli international's gone into an attacking midfield role. He's good at holding the ball and maybe just closing things down a bit, which maybe is what Graham Taylor has in mind. And he wins the free kick, the throw. Elliott's challenge. Still Hazan. Fish away. Cox. With Johnson the target. Header by Page. Jensen. Taylor. Scott Sellers for Bolton Wanderers. Blocked by Hyde. Still Hyde. Now for Kennedy. Smart is unmarked, far side. Smart, great chance. Surely now. Alan Smart surely has scored the most important goal of his life. And I think that sign is to his wife Jeanette in the crowd. They are to become parents. And Alan Smart has surely more good news. Kennedy kept his head, finished with vicious style by Smart. Well, after what happened here yesterday, he'd be a brave man to say that the last 5 minutes won't be as dramatic. But that man surely has put Watford 9/10 of the way to the Premiership. Bolton have brought on Bo Hansen, and they've taken off Ricardo Gardner. And the kitchen sink is expected in the Watford defence shortly. But again, those pictures tell their own story. And I can tell you, away to our left, no one is moving. Four minutes of extra time will be played. On the threshold is Graham Taylor, of what many will believe is his finest achievement. And there are 30,000 to bear witness to it, who've turned Watford, by all accounts, into something close to a ghost town, where all the local hostelries are well stocked for what promises to be quite an evening. Such a personable young man, Alan Smart. And now, alongside Nick Wright, the two men that Taylor spent money on in the summer, about surely to write a very special page in the history of the club that was transformed by Graham Taylor and Elton John back in 1977, and which now stands on the threshold, surely, of the most remarkable transformation of all. What must be in his mind at this moment? What a way to crown your first season wearing the yellow and red. But unlike yesterday, when you thought that Manchester City might, that second goal by Alan Smart looked at the time to have knocked the stuffing out of Bolton Wanderers. So Hansen started it, Alec Chamberlain claimed it, and you can bet your bottom dollar an extra second will be taken in clearing this ball downfield. Off Hansen, and the different generations unite in song. Promoted as champions of Division 2 12 months ago, winning the title on the last day against Fulham. Are they going to be promoted again? And we've got some defending to do first. And remember, last time Taylor took Watford through the divisions, they stayed a while in Division 2, as it then was. Now it's Division 1. But there is only room for one team on board the exit train marked Premiership. Cox, Fish, it's got to go forward, but they don't need one, they need two, and Terry Heilbronn has had another look at his watch. Over the top by Per Franson. They can't wait. And I have a funny feeling his first thoughts will be for his family, who've been with him on quite a journey. I thought so. Sporting to the end. And who says that football is not a game of emotions? Alan Smart, this was your finest hour. But you could say the same about all the others. 2 goals from Nick Wright and this man Alan Smart, both bought from Carlisle, and both amid quite amazing scenes have taken their new team to the very pinnacle of English football. And full marks to both sides. Their first action is to salute each other. Nick Wright and Colin Todd. Well, many of those supporters, I guess, back in 1984 went through what Bolton are going through now. He certainly did. And how typical of the man that he should want to shake the Bolton players by the hand. And for the first real time, do I detect the slightest of smiles. Well, I wonder if I'd have said to those supporters last August at 5-3 as they flooded into Fratton Park, Portsmouth, see you at Wembley on the last day of May, how many of them would have had me removed? And there is one man that they are calling for. He is the manager, Paul Robinson, the one man in this side born in Watford, and Nick Wright, who has immediately been taken to the hearts of the locals, will be well aware that the party has only just begun. There are 39 steps to the Royal Box. John Buchan wrote a famous book on that very title. But surely the great John Buchan could never have written a story like this one. And the cup is in the hands of Robert Page, Alec Chamberlain. They all get their medals as well. Brian Anderson, one of the club's directors. Hai Gunjan, the vice chairman. Darren Baisley. Charles Lissack, another of the directors, David Mellor, who chartered a plane from Barcelona in order to ensure he could make this match. Baisley followed by Steve Palmer, Peter Kennedy. 2 years in the life of, that certainly would be a bestseller. Tommy Mooney, Watford's favourite. Alan Smart, Richard Johnson, all his family here from Australia. And they've had a trip that they will never surely ever forget. Michelle Ngongi. Nick Wright holds the cup in triumph, followed by Micah Hyde. And now a very special moment for all the Watford contingent. This one will hang in thousands upon thousands of scrapbooks for years to come. And I have a funny feeling that 30,000 will talk about it for years to come. I was there the day Watford won at Wembley and went to the Premiership. The full-time score on a never-to-be-forgotten afternoon. Bolton Wanderers 0, Watford 2.